Hello, my name is David Bailey. I'm coming to you from Altamaha Technical College in Brunswick, Georgia. This project has been a long time coming. Uh, I've been working on this for a good 5 months, I think. And it's actually pretty daunting to try to fit all of this into a simple 15-minute video. And that's part of the reason why I've decided to do this presentation by actually putting this on a blog that showcases the work that I'm discussing. Because talking about this outside of the actual work is kind of nonsensical. And let me say something real quick. If you follow through to the YouTube video after you've watched it, you'll come to its homepage on youtube.com and you'll be able to see the comments that are generated. These comments will come directly from the artists that I'm talking about. Because every time I post one of these videos, there's always a lot of discussion and feedback. So if you want to see who's creating this content, just follow it straight through and you'll actually see the conversation that's being generated. So a little bit of a bonus that will come off of this. Now, like I said, this is daunting, and the thing is I'm going to leave some really huge holes here, and I'm going to go ahead and apologize to the community for that, because they're going to do a much better job of explaining who they are and what they're about than I am, but I'm going to try anyway. This all started after I read REMIX by Lawrence Lessig and Grown Up Digital by Don Tapscott. They kind of provided the intellectual kindling that ignited this fire. The idea of REMIX itself is a really, really complicated one, and I'd never thought of REMIX as like original art, and Lessig really brought that to me. But Lessig also showed me something really important, and that's the fact that REMIX is really the concept that's fighting the copyright war. And copyright as a concept gets kicked around a lot at the Computers in Writing Conference. But I really want to point out to everyone that the ones fighting the copyright war, the ones who are actively in the trenches trying to get the concept of copyright redefined, it's really these artists. These are the ones who have something on the line. I first ran into YouTube poop, and that's what they call it, as a graduate student. What these videos basically are, or at least the version that I first ran into, these artists take original video, original content, and they remix it to the point where it is almost unrecognizable. What they'll also do is a peculiar practice called sentence splicing, where they will make characters or people say things that they didn't originally say by taking the snippets of audio and rewriting it and reorganizing it, remixing it into a different order. In fact, the thing that really got me involved with this community and really showed me that this was important, that this was worth discussing on an academic level, was when the user Walrus Guy was banned for one of the videos that he created. And let me give you an idea of what he created, and this is actually included on the Remix Rats blog that I'm tagging this with. It was a video using the Colgate mascot, Dr. Rabbit. Now, what he did, and I thought this was insanely clever at the time because I never would have thought of doing this, he took the Dr. Rabbit character, just completely rewrote the audio by using the actual samples, and forced poor Dr. Rabbit to sing a song from South Park. And I'm not going to say which song it was, you can find the video, but needless to say, it was incredibly uncouth, in some ways gross, but the fact that he took this kind of from this corporate character that was designed for kids and forced this poor character to sing the song, it was something else. And what happened was, because he had infringed upon the copyright, that was the real justification for it. Walrus Guy was banned. Now, what Colgate and YouTube probably expected to happen in that aftermath was that Walrus Guy would go away. He did not. And in fact, all these YouTube users started reposting the video. And so you can still find the video in all sorts of different incarnations all over the web. It lived, even though that user was banned. And Walrus Guy almost became some type of strange Robin Hood figure for copyright and free use, because you have all these people on YouTube who are creating these absolutely out there remixes. What line did Walrus Guy cross? And this after I saw that and I knew what was happening with him, I was drawn in. I was absolutely drawn in, and I knew that I had to create something that I needed to contact them because I wanted to talk to them and I wanted to understand them better. So what happened is just like a lot of other things I do in my life, I created a off-the-fly video, just like I'm doing now, where I contacted them, where I said, Lawrence Lessig and Taff Scott have written about things that you are interacting with, that there's actual real academic scholarly debate about copyright, and you guys are right in the middle of it. You don't even really know it. And they really didn't. That video sat dormant for a good 3 or 4 months. And then the user Kirkop found it, liked it, shared it, and the rest was history. Let me tell you, my inbox has never been the same. That video got so many views and had so much going on with it. And again, it's included on the Remix Rats website. What came next, I did not expect. I got so many remixes of myself. Videos where they have me singing, they have me dancing, they have me saying terrible, horrible things. And they created it just by tearing up the original audio and then reassembling it into something it wasn't before. I had become a part of this. It was kind of scary, but it was also really exciting to see that type of interaction. Now, I can go on and on about this, and I really want to try to bring it back to a pedagogical standpoint, because only until very recently, I hadn't thought about ways that this can kind of inform teaching, and I'll save that for the very end. What I want to go into next is I want to explain the divisions in this group. Because YouTube poop is not one single entity. There are many different forms of it, and there are many different genres that they've created. I'm going to talk about the main two that I've noticed. And again, like I said, you're probably going to see this evolving in the comments after the video is concluded. The one that drew me in was a narrative genre, where what they do is they're trying to create new meanings, new storylines. One of their favorite subject material, at least at the time that I was viewing it, was there was a game system called the Philips CDI. And the Philips CDI is very notorious for having extremely bad games and extremely bad cutscenes. They used several games cutscenes. One of them was Hotel Mario, the other was Zelda the Wand of Gamelon, and there's another one, Zelda the Faces of Evil. They would take these horrible cutscenes and do insane things with them and tell like crazy new storylines, and I was shocked at the narrative complexity of what they were doing. It was really out there. But then I got drawn into another genre of YouTube poop, what they call the YTPMV, the YouTube poop music video. And that's a bit more of my obsession now, that what you'll see are these videos. And what they do is it's very similar to the sentence splicing. They take a video and they break it up to the point of almost near unrecognizable quality, and they reorganize it in a musical way. They'll do this with Billy Mays infomercials. They'll do this with other commercials. They'll do this with sitcoms. And they'll create whole musical numbers just from random sounds generated in the content. And one of my favorite things that they do, they show you the video components that they use to create the sounds, and they'll do all these amazing visual gymnastics with it, that they'll show you how these sounds are being created, but they also have all this spatial intelligence. Kirkop is pretty good at that. He's been doing all sorts of experimental things with it. The narrative genre, Walrus Guy was one. He was the one that I recognized. He was really big into. There are people in this community who have mastered their particular genres. And the interesting thing is that one of the things I've noticed, they don't really like each other very much. There's a lot of argument and debate about where this art should go and what the definitions are. I mean, these guys are almost their own oddly contained avant-garde movement, that there's so much debate and discussion about what a good remix is. And you can look this stuff up. They have forums. There's stuff on Know Your Meme that talks about the history of it. It's a strange internet subculture that's been bubbling underneath the surface. And these artists are just so involved. And one of the other things that I didn't quite expect, I expected this to be an American thing. like that this would just be Americans sitting at their computers and doing this stuff. It's not. This is an incredibly national movement. I've communicated with people in Germany, in New Zealand, in Libya, people doing this stuff. They're everywhere. And there's really no central home for this artistic movement. It is truly global. It's absolutely fascinating just how thick it is. I'm leaving out so many people. I'm leaving out so many ideas, and I feel bad because I'm not doing justice to them. But what I want to take this in for the next few minutes is how it's affected my teaching. I've become very, very cognizant of the power of video and how it can be used to communicate. Even if you just have a headset and you're talking into a webcam, I've recorded lectures. I've recorded messages that I've disseminated to my online students. They really appreciated it. And it was the YouTube poop community that taught me that the recorded video can transmit ideas in absolutely fantastic ways. Just, really, really original ways. And it can be very powerful, as these people have created a community that has its own definitions, its own parameters. I have a link to this. I believe it's Stuart Kelly. He has his own YouTube channel where he talks about news in the community, tips and tricks of the trade, debate. I've had some conversations with him. He's amazing. He's a leader in this movement. It has clearly defined leaders. And I think I've actually been criticized a lot by this group because I shower a lot of attention on Kirkhope, and let me tell you, I'm probably gonna see some remixes where there's going to be like a knife going through my head because I'm talking about Kirkhope again, and I think it's great. It doesn't bother me, but the reason I like Kirkhope so much is because he takes content that was shared on YouTube and he remixes that along with content from stuff like TV shows. He even remixes his own recordings. He'll talk into a camera and he'll remix himself. That gives them immunity to copyright. It gives them immunity to a lot of the forces that are coming to shut them down. There's another user I want to mention real quick. His name is Hoskins, and I believe I've linked him to the website. He started a project to store and maintain these remixes in case these big users, these popular users, these leaders in the movement get banned. So that if they get banned, their work will continue on. Their work will be preserved. I'm not saying these guys are an avant-garde movement. I mean, I believe that, but I think it's maybe a little bit irresponsible to say that. But I do want the academic community to take a good, long, hard look at what they're doing, because they are the soldiers in the copyright war. They are the ones who are changing definitions, creating new genres of art. I mean, how often does that happen? Now, it's gotten a little bit more common now that we have internet access. We have all these new technologies that we use. But at the same time, I think it's really important for us to take a really close look at the type of work that they've produced and what it shows us about ourselves, what it shows us about our new communication abilities, and what it means for what the casualties are in the copyright movement, in the copyright law. Who gets thrown under the bus and who gets spared? Walrus Guy was thrown under the bus for his use of a copyrighted character to do a particular thing. Did he deserve that? It's a debate worth having. And we as academics will sit back and will observe and will debate. But oftentimes we miss the really revolutionary stuff that's going on underneath us. And if I can at least get people looking at them, maybe not from a wholly pedagogical perspective, although they've helped me pedagogically, I think it will only be good for this conversation moving forward. It will only be constructive. I know I've left out so many things, and I have to conclude this now. I want to thank the YouTube poop community, because even though I've been divisive, and even though I've made a lot of people angry, they have been nothing but polite and accommodating, and you know what? They care, and that's all that really matters. Thank you very much.